Continuing our discussion of close reading of poetry and literature, today we're going to be discussing characterization and the important things we can look at when we're trying to reveal things about a character. Now, when we try to analyze a character, what we should do is consider three different aspects of their character. The first is simple, their appearance. Now, appearance can be simple things like hair color or high cheekbones or pointy nose, right? But it can also be how they walk and how they talk. Do they have a deep, low, gruff voice, or are they high-pitched? Are they young? Are they old? Are they beautiful? Those are all elements of appearance. How do they appear to the audience? The second element of characterization we need to be looking at is how are they emotionally? Are they caring and loving? Are they understanding? Are they open and supportive and sympathetic? Or are they closed off, tough and guarded? You'll learn things about their emotional state in the way that they react, in the way that they act, in the way that they care for others or withhold love. And the third thing we want to uncover with a good complex character is their psychology. This deals more with not just how do they feel, but why do they do the things they do? Are they driven and motivated? Are they optimistic and always look for the good in others, or antagonistic? Are they vain and worldly and care about the way that they present themselves? Are they heartbroken and defensive or unsure? What is the motivation behind their actions? This is where psychology fits in. Now, one thing to know as you're analyzing a character in this way is that sometimes people's perceptions are different based on how they know that character. Like me, for example, my students know me very differently than my kids know me, who know me very differently than my exes know me, who know me very differently than my mother knows me. And each person looks at me a different way and has a different understanding of who I am based off of our personal relationships and encounters with each other throughout the years. With a really great complex character, you also want to consider how other people think of them and why those characters think of them in that way. A really great activity you can do is take a person that you know really, really well. It can be a character or a celebrity, but can also be someone that you know in your personal life. Put their name on a piece of paper and then consider and analyze that person as deeply as you can. First, the easiest part, consider their appearance. How do they look? What's their hair color? What is their jawline shape? How do they stand? Are they poised or are they hunched? After their appearance, consider how they act emotionally. And then lastly, consider their psychology and why they do the things that they do. And when you know someone really, really well, you'll be able to describe them in a way that an audience reading this would be able to picture them perfectly. We're gonna do this right now together. I'm gonna use a character that I think is universally known in the character of Tony Stark. And throughout the many Avengers movies, we've really gotten to know Tony Stark as a character. Let's talk about his appearance first. Well, he's got dark brown hair, kind of spiky. Sometimes as he's gotten older, he's got a little gray on the side. He's fairly young, at least young to me. He has a little bit of a mustache and goatee, and he's usually wearing some kind of sunglasses. He's usually dressed in very expensive clothes. He's poised and upright. He's got an intensity in his look. Now, when we talk about Tony Stark emotionally, it's easy to see that he's very charismatic. He's got a humorous playfulness about him, but at the same time, he's very serious. He doesn't share his internal emotions easily. You kind of have to draw it out of him. But he definitely has emotional relationships. And on the emotional side, I'd also say he's quite arrogant. Now, Tony Stark's psychology, there's a lot to unpack here. He's definitely a visionary. He makes plans, he gets things done. He's smart and intelligent. Another element of his psychology, he's very much a narcissist. He thinks the whole world revolves around him, and he makes the whole world sometimes revolve around him. He's definitely vain, and money's important to him, but not as important as justice. Tony's also a very sarcastic character, and I think that's in part his emotions, but it's also in part his psychology. Now, it's easy to analyze Tony Stark in this way because if you've seen the movies, you've been able to watch him. You've been able to see different people interact and react to him. But in literature and poetry, sometimes figuring out these elements of character are a little harder to see. And what you have to do is unpack what different characters are saying about them, how they're describing themselves, what they're thinking about, and even sometimes how the narrator's describing them. Remember that we show who we are, we don't tell who we are. A good author will show you who a character is without coming out and saying it. But to pick up these details, you have to pay attention to what's happening around them, how they're acting and showing who they are. Now with Tony Stark, we know that different characters have different relationships with him. In the way that Peter Parker is looking at Tony Stark, as a hero and a mentor, as someone responsible, as someone he admires, versus the way Rhodey looks at Tony Stark as kind of an idiot, money-crazed, irresponsible person. Different characters' reactions and attitudes about a character defines a lot about them. Sometimes a character will think something about themselves, like I'm sure Tony Stark doesn't think of himself as selfish, but his actions sometimes show that he's selfish. But not all the time, because he's a complex character and sometimes he makes big sacrifices for the greater good. When you read literature, these are the things you need to be paying attention to. How other characters are speaking of and reacting to your characters, and how your character views themselves, but also the actions that they're taking that might be in contradiction to how they view themselves. In my classes, we're going to be reading a very popular short story called A Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. We're going to be looking at the character Miss Mallard, and we're going to find specific sentences and phrases in the text that describe who Miss Mallard is from lots of different points of view. We're going to look at the narrator's point of view, other characters' points of view. We're going to be looking at her actions and how she's proving to you who she is, her thoughts, and then her dialogue. What is it that she's saying? So we've got narrator's point of view, other's point of view, her own actions, her own thoughts, and her own dialogue. We're going to take these phrases and quotes out and then consider, what is this saying about her? And what are we learning about her character in this close reading? It's important that after an activity like this, that you take time to discuss with someone else who's read the passage what they noticed and saw, because most likely you're not going to catch everything. And having that conversation is really going to help edify our own understanding of this character. Remember, you need to be paying attention to 3 things as you read to learn about this character. 1, their appearance and how they look. 2, their emotions. And 3, their psychology. Why are they doing and acting the way that they are? You can do this with any piece of text to close read and analyze a character. All right, so get started and keep reading.